Reincarnation is real. Reincarnation is real. They try to say that the trick of reincarnation is not to reincarnate, but the truth of reincarnation is to continue reincarnating. I mean, you know, there's so many different voices have expressed about reincarnation. So many voices have expressed about living and dying and becoming whole again, coming from the ground, and just kind of like sprouting yourself back into the flame. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you carry your ignorance throughout your carnations, what use are you to yourself? You could be ran over, assimilated, doubted, hated. It wouldn't matter if you didn't have the frame of mind to ignore those type of things. You'd be trapped. And it's not like, you know, illusion is bad enough as it is to have to stand to gravestone, still being the same ignorant mass that you kind of always been. Such a perplexing idea when you look at the world and say, hey, like, what are the chances? What are the chances that your religion is completely wrong? They're high. I mean, they're extremely high. You know what I mean? They don't coincide with any science. You know, and I was thinking about like how much I missed being myself in all my different forms, and it's sort of a true nature of transient transcendence. But finding like the universal cell inside of the source of the body to become stronger and more resilient, it's fascinating. Like so many cultures seem to be putting a copyright on our reincarnations, or carnations seem to be. Our carnations seem to be under control, and it's done with a human fence of ignorance. It seems that the only people who will ever get outside the bubble are those who know it. The only way that you can know it is if you lived before. Of course, lucky for us, we have these instincts and these abilities to distrust media as it comes to us, to prevail in such situations, and to look beyond wishes, hopes, and wants, false desires to get to the nut of things. But sooner or later, the traditional set of denigrations start to step in, and then the traditional sets of getting out of those denigrations set in. So the generation and the times become extremely obsolete to you, become worthless in a way. the times betray you because this objective is very much different than those who should be carrying the labor of their loves instead of reinforcing their own ignorance. I miss being a woman, but that's not why I wear dresses. It's so funny. So much contempt for life inside of these dungeons of paradox to the point where those who have carnated multiple times want to point it out and say enough. You ask the Buddha, what's the point of the Bodhisattva? What they are, who they are, they do what they do. And it's hard to think that some sweat meat packing man is the Dalai Lama. Till you hear him sing the sutras. And you're like, all right, I'll buy it. I'll buy in. I'll buy into that shit for a second, you know? But that message is truly not for you, the ones who reincarnate, nor the experience of the Bodhis of the Dalai Lama, nor necessarily of the Bodhisattva. And if you don't know what these are, like they do different things in Buddhism. Buddhism is an old hat of mine, but like they do what they do in these cultures, and like it's I gotta say, man, it's like it's boring and it's kind of like weird, like just all the projections that go on in these times, like all these answers that seem like they exist in these times, they seem like they're not the answers at all, and they don't help because it seems like all of the answers have already been bought and paid for. All these answers, they've been romanticized over and shit kicked, and the real answers aren't entertaining anymore. You know what I mean? And it seems like that whole idea of never to reincarnate is based on something else. It's based on the one that is trapped in time, like a time traveler in a Groundhog Day of like of the same outcome and no change, no change because they are the outcome. They are the evil that is necessary to represent the times. So they are where they are, and they have grasped power of that they don't understand, and that keeps them trapped there. It keeps them thirsty forever. They're a thirsty vampire walking around desiring the blood because there's nothing for them. They can't survive the times. It's shattering to think that people can be erased by a simple document of truths like a book can erase your whole existence is also shocking. It's crazy. But the idea of power, the idea of magic, it's absurd. All of it. Of course, you're gonna, everything's gonna travel to it. Everything's gonna wander around it. But you also have to ask the question about, you know, the loud residency of those who know nothing about it, and the inability for you to move any of them through magic. Magic doesn't move people. moves the individual through dimensional spaces to understand certain things. But beyond that, whenever I see magic move someone, I have to question the reality of the magic that I've seen because it doesn't seem that is the reality that has been summoned in the time. It's like where do we keep the abundant spaces? I guess like wrapped neatly in our brains. You know, never to a board meeting, never to a party, never to the ball, never to the dance. That is not the reason why I wear dresses. I wear dresses to communicate with the dead. And in a way, that's not done by most people. It won't be done by most people. Talking to the dead is bad for you. Unless you have the wings born to do so, the power and vibration through life that can do it. You know what I mean? Don't journey in that direction, thinking that you can you can place magic on people. You can't. Only on your own circumstances. Just like a cell replicates, so does a worm. Worm does it in crazy fashion. When they split in half, they become two. It's still the same worm. It has the ability to duplicate itself. And whatever side starts to grow, the heart is where the worm goes in the transformation. Pretty interesting shit. You know, there's a lot to say about a lot to say, but there ain't nothing to say anymore. You know why? Because magic is dead. Magic is not alive. What is alive? What is alive is being one with the universe in a true sense that what would seem to be magic is everyday activity. Like the thoughts of a man waiting to die, fulfilled in age, completely in awe of the journey, shaken like a leaf, of course. There's nothing else to say. Like the Rinpoche lays an egg. It's just that way. Becoming the daily thought balloon, have nothing but sunsets and sunrises in your mind. You shall walk with the suns and the atoms. You shall be one with the universe. Things will be lovely and beloved, bro. Starting a serious journey, thoughts, actions, taking place in a space of a better vibration. Not really worrying too much about things that you can let go. So I was dreaming, had like dreams, weird dreams. All of them are in houses and shit, places that, they're restricted, you can't really go to. And out of the restrictions is like an ordinance and order of how to live in one life. Like it also talks about like how one perceives how they get up in the day is basically like the power of one's sleep. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's so insane. It's like you can wake up in the morning with the objective of yoga, prostrations, meditations, or you can wake up with the perspective of I gotta go to work, I gotta go to school, I gotta be better than this and better than that. It's so crazy. You know what I mean? It's like that was probably the main attraction to Buddhism for me. It seems like, for some people it's like a resting home of belief. You know what I mean? It's just like, all right, show me some magic. It's not magic. optimized for human body. You know what I'm saying? So you can go for like the perfection of the human body, or you can go to work doing things designed to make you obsolete. It's crazy. It's almost like the mayor should declare a national emergency because the only job that should be happening is the government in a way. No one should have to pay for shit, paying for water and stuff like that. I mean, wow, what a statement about our lives and shit. You know what I mean? I'm an old head, cuz I don't got time for games. Not some young person, not some punk dedicated to the narrative of being a punk. You know what I mean? Like it's not that way. You know what I mean? Like you become these things. There's a definite understanding around them. You know what I mean? Like even becoming a clown, for instance, the power in that is not magic. You know what I mean? It's retrieval of the self from the full extension of the mask. I mean, we even went to clown college and shit. You know what I mean? We did like weird shit. This is not like something that you go and pick up at like Kroger while watching like saying famous people pick up their music. You know what I mean? The Times is packed with that. You know what I mean? Those people will have their advantages in time. Like they'll be able to meditate. They'll be able to sit down and think and contemplate before they die. But you're busy making money to go buy their album. Collectivity, what does it mean if you can't like screw in the light bulb together? Fathom an idea that requests that type of creativity of collectivity. It'll present itself. You know, I would say that we're probably tired of authoritarian relationships because that seems like that's all that there is. You go somewhere and someone wants to tell you what to do, how to do it, and how to spend your life. And that shit's scary. In my life, it's like, you know, if there's a narrative, man, no one passed me a piece of paper. And if the piece of paper got passed out and it was about me, I was just an illustration someone else made. No words or illustrations made by me about who I am, because in those times I didn't know who the fuck I was. And still don't need anything to define it as such. Not even the dream. But that's what brought me back to yoga, meditation, and all these things. Not the names of those things. I mean, it's just postures. Those postures bring in a transcendent based on like transfixiation to the basically the biorhythm of the body and the tonations of the planets and the sun, and then getting beyond those things into dimensional territories where one can lift their body and change it based on their cells and available plasmas. It's science. So the dream is a compass in our head, and to be able to do that energy, to break them down, make your own symbols, and start to make your own life compass is what it's really about. So if people really did use their dreams, like what type of manifested world would we be in if people started to really, instead of going to work in that nature, we went to a protective, like protectorate, what I'm saying, like a space to dream beyond just a park. Like we're talking about like, hey, go and dream so we can know what's happening. Of course, there'll be fibbers and stuff like that, and you have to, a lot of things you would have to navigate, you know what I mean, with like getting the truth out of people. But at the same time, like, wouldn't it be worth it to like to do it yourself? I guess just get the journal, check out your dreams, write them down, even if you don't fully understand them, and and really check them out. That's fundamentally where some of my art is probably going to take me to in the abstractions. And that'll be fun, what I'm saying, catching up with that reality. So I have a dream, you know what I mean? and it's definitely like a blank sheet of paper, blank canvas right now. And that's not bad. It's a great place to start because where else did all this come from except for like just the great void itself? Y'all have a great day, guys. And I'm Christy hollering at you. Much love, yo.